Welcome back to this channel, the Diary of the Coffee Hunter, and I want to say thank you for checking back in. My mind is blown. The last 2 weeks have been absolutely amazing. I couldn't even imagine in my wildest dream that what has happened in the last 2 weeks would happen. I want to thank each and every one of you who clicked and watched the last 2 videos that I posted. 50,000 views we have reached in the last 2 weeks, and our subscription has gone up. We've hit the 1,000 subscribers milestone, and I want to say thank you to each and every one who has taken time to hit that subscribe button. And if you haven't done so, there's 40,000, 50,000 people that have watched the last 2 videos and only 1,000 have subscribed. So if you haven't done so, I want you to please go ahead and hit the subscribe button now. And I can't imagine that you are here today and you have not seen the other 2 videos. I would urge you to watch those videos first, because what I'm going to talk about today is directly connected to those last 2 videos. Some of the comments that came through, and even people that know me that would then have just sent me messages directly to my phone, there was an appetite to find out what the issues were, the problems that we have encountered, although I had indicated that I would have preferred to just focus on the positives, because naturally I am not inclined to focus too much on the bad things that have happened or the negative things. But anyway, for the sake of lessons, I am going to go ahead and use this video to talk about some of the issues that we encountered, or more so, some of the issues that you always encounter if you are going to undertake a project such as the one we are currently undertaking in our rural home in Buhera, which we inherited after my parents passed on. My mother 10 years ago now, and my father in 2018. But what I'm also going to do today is there was something that we were already working on, and it was something that we're going to keep working on, and then perhaps at a later stage, then launch it. But it is ready, the product is ready, and it's directly related to the issues that you're likely going to face as anybody wishing to do the project that we are doing, or something similar to what we are doing, especially, and I say especially, if you are based in the diaspora. I'll talk about a few issues, and then I want to talk about the solution, because there has to be a solution at the end of the day. So I want to talk about a few issues that have come to call an experience, my experiences when we were carrying out this particular project. Like anything in Zimbabwe is not necessarily an efficient market, or anywhere close to being an efficient market. There's a lot of distortions in everything that you come across, is particularly when it comes to pricing. So you've got to be very clear about where you want to go and get whatever you want to get, and be sure of who you are dealing with. As far as our project is concerned, I'll talk about the important things that you need to bear in mind. So the very first thing is planning. Now, for the building itself, we deliberately decided to go with professionally done building plans. We engaged Gura and Associates architects. They are based in Harare. So they did the whole redesign of the homestead from what it was. And the good thing is they were able to retain sort of like the structure of what the homestead looked like as it was built by my parents, but they managed to modernize it and update it, and then incorporate all the modern day living aspects into it. But what I would say, the first thing you must do, you must make sure, because being in a rural area, the temptation is there to just go with, a plan that has just been drawn by somebody's left hand. And as long as it's showing this room goes there and another one goes there, and you want the toilet there, and that's it. And then a builder comes along and they use their own imagination of how you have explained things. And because there's no inspections and there's no approval of plans that's required, there is a temptation that you can go that route. But what I would urge is that you go with plans that would pass an urban inspection. We were very deliberate about this. You need to make sure that your plans would pass any urban development inspection, because at the end of the day, a brick that is going to be laid in Buhera is exactly the same cost as the brick that is going to be laid in Borodale. The cement that you're going to use in Borodale is the same as the cement you're going to use in Buhera as far as cost is concerned. If you are going to build something, you might as well just build it to the highest standard. That is the philosophy anyway that we used. We engaged Gura and Associates architects. I mean, they've been involved in some of the most iconic buildings in and around Zimbabwe and in Harare in particular. They know what they're doing, and they've got an artistic eye that we're looking for. So they managed to do the plans for us. So the very first thing, get professional plans done. We'll talk a little bit more about this at the end when I talk about the solution. There is a solution, a beautiful solution. Speaking like Trump now, a wonderful solution. Right. And the big one, if you are doing anything in Zimbabwe, has to do with tradesmen and contractors. That is the big one, because you can get it wrong right there and then, and everything will fall apart. We were fortunate at the beginning that the people that actually started the project were recommendations of Gura and Associates architects. We had done the drawings for us. So at least we wanted people that they knew would be able to look at the plans and be able to read the plans. But we had said as a minimum, they would do the first part of the build. And then if we are going to get other contractors, then they would come in and it will just be building on top of or over what has already been structurally laid. So the thing with building in the rural areas is that there is always a temptation of going with somebody who is local. You're always going to get some old man who's going to come and say, didn't that over kwa Gulliver? And indeed, they would have been the senior bricklayer at Gulliver, and they will have evidence. They will tell you, they will start pointing at 70s building that in Harare, and they'll say, I did that, and it will probably be true. But while you are not going to dismiss them because you're going to need them, it is important that you go with builders that are currently working, that are currently active, because the way builds are being done has changed over the course of the time. Perhaps the things that they used to do the 40 years ago that this good builder from Gulliver, the way they used to do things back then has significantly changed. So you need somebody who is up to date with all the contemporary building methods. Daroku Gulliver, keep him, because he will come in handy at some point. Because you want, one of the things that we sought to do was to make sure that the local people engaged with the project as much as possible. So don't turn away anybody who wants to help. Of course, it is also the opportunity to earn a dollar or two, whether they're just collecting water or river sand, or they can help your contractors with mixing up the concrete. You need your locals to be a part of the project. And it is very important. It is very important for the community. They really value people coming in to do some things or something that resembles development within their community. So make sure you also engage your local community in the project that you're doing, but you must have professionals taking the lead. For example, in our case, we had one of our neighbors is Mdara Chinamasa, and he came and he said, I can do this, I can do, and then we gave him a little project to say, okay, show us what you can do. So he's the one who then went on and he built the stand for the water tank. And because he had done that, now we know he's got a skill, and all the other little jobs that need to be done of building. We're not going to get our builder to drive all the way from Harare to Buhera to come and build these little things that need doing at the house. We can just call on Darash Namasa next door. He comes in and he earns a bit of money. And that's what the project is about. It must come as an opportunity for the local community. Because one of the problems that we encountered with the contractors, the good contractors from your Harares or your Mtares, or wherever they would have come from, some urban setting, they seem to have one line. After 2 days, they'll just say, Takasi Amuri. They need to go back. So everything has to stop and they have to go back. And then when they want to come back, there are new demands. Some, are telling you this, that, or the other. And possibly because they've picked up another job in Harare and now they're giving you excuses and they can no longer come back. So that can delay a lot of progress. When dealing with contractors in Zimbabwe, the one thing that we discovered very late was that when you get a quotation from a contractor, in their minds, the amount that they are telling you is free of any expenses. It is their net profit. So they will tell you, for me to do this job, I need $200. And then you agree, you sign on it, say, right, $200, you are going to do this job for me. Once you've agreed and you are so far away and you are thinking everything will go ahead, they will then tell you, but on that money that you've sent me to get the job done, you did not include money for transport and you did not include money for food. So their expectation is that the money that they say is their charge for whatever job they're going to do, in their mind, in their thinking, that money is theirs and it has got no expense. All the expenses are supposed to be met by you, which include the food and their transport, or even if they need to pay somebody else to help them do this, that, or the other, you need to then pay that. And at times, before you know it, that 200 quotation that you got in the first place will turn up even doubling at times in some instances. So you need to look out for that. So when you're getting a quotation, very important that before you agree anything, you tell the contractor that include your food and your transport. It is very important that your contractor factors in their other expenses, not to bring them up as a surprise when the job has been started. And as far as our project was concerned, I do not know how I can put this. Everyone doing a project like ours needs their own Jacob. We have had the privilege of having Jacob staying at the property, agreeing to stay at the property. Him and his wife, a young couple, they are staying there, and they have been God sent. Jacob has been amazing, and his wife Mamoyo, they've been amazing. So you need a Jacob to be present. Unfortunately, people like Jacob cannot be manufactured, because if they could, Zimbabwe could do with just 100 Jacobs, and a lot of problems will be resolved in that country of Zimbabwe, because he has been phenomenal. In the solution, I'll touch on a little bit later towards the end of the video, we have come up with a Jacob of a system that will take care of the things that we have observed need to be taken care of by somebody who is as reliable as Jacob in our case. And as far as Jacob and his wife are concerned, my wife and I have actually agreed that we need to do everything that we possibly can to somehow just help him to progress in life, because he has got the aptitude, he learns so quickly, he's got a sharp mind. It's just about needing to be exposed to certain things, and we've said we are going to make sure that we are there to help, not that everything that he's ever going to achieve is going to be down to us, because he was going to get somewhere anyway at some point. I have no doubt about that. But I think we just need to somehow see how we can kind of be part of that infrastructure that gets him to where he deserves to be, because he is such a fantastic young man. And again, like I said, together with his gorgeous wife, Mamoyo. And in fact, I think Jacob deserves his own YouTube channel. We'll make a plan to make sure that he has his own YouTube channel, and then people can actually follow some of the things that he does on a daily basis and how he is wired. When you speak to him, when he gives you solutions to certain problems that you'll be cracking your head, and how he just comes up with solutions and how he just gets on with it. Very practical and very agile in terms of his thinking, and quick solutions all the time. I've never seen a young man in Zimbabwe who is so solution focused as Jacob is. Bookmark this video, because we are going to refer back to it when Jacob is sitting in some high office somewhere running something significantly big. If you agree that Jacob and Mamoyo should have their own YouTube channel, go to the comment section and just type Jacob in Buhera. Now, I'm just going to talk about what perhaps is the most important thing. I've talked about Jacob, that's good, but the most important thing when you're undertaking a project like the one that we are undertaking in Buhera is that you need a project manager. Zimbabwe is a hard-hit area, and pun is intended in that. In our case, at the start, we sent these contractors, professional contractors that came from Harare, and in a few days they are on the ground, all the material is in place, And like I said earlier, before you know it, one is saying, I need to go back to Harare. I've received a message or I've received a call that my child is unwell, which is fair enough. But the moment that one is gone, the others are also saying, well, I also need to go and I need to attend to my wife. And then the main builder then decided he would also leave, and he left. And now you've got, a couple of the people that the local guys that we had, we had engaged to work with him. And now we can't let them carry on with the work. And you are, a few oceans away to make a quick turnaround in terms of getting in new people to come in, because it was quite clear from the tone of these people that it was going to be very difficult to get them back. And it wasn't a surprise when the main sort of like contractor builder, I think he had picked up another job. I found out that he had picked up another job somewhere in Rua. He then just kind of said, I've picked up COVID. He sent me a video of him wheezing and struggling to breathe. And that was that. And I actually felt sorry for him at the time, but only to find out that the reason why he had decided not to go back was because he had found another job in another. The whole situation then to get new contractors, and what you get with builders, tradesmen of any type mostly, if somebody starts a project, whoever you bring in, their first thing to highlight is that the person who did the job for you did a bad job. They, of course, need to do certain things that must correct the bad job that was done before they can actually also do their own work properly. Otherwise, they can't work with such a shoddy job as they would have put it. So you'll find that the first few days, they'll just be saying, my goodness, what is this? How could somebody do this? It seems to be a pattern with all tradesmen that you have to take over a job that has been left by somebody else. The most important thing that for us, the biggest lesson for us in that regard was that you need a project manager. And we were, again, very fortunate, and I thank God for this. We were very fortunate that we then just asked Sekuru Tawonga, who is based in Tare, to say, look, Kule, can you go and have a look at what's going on and see if you can just keep an eye. So he went down and he loved the project. He got engaged. And he has been our project manager. And again, he has been the most fantastic project manager that you could ever ask. And he's actually part of the project that we have started since, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. So he has been fantastic. So you need a project manager. And if ever you wondered why project managers demand such high salaries wherever, all over the world, it is because of what could possibly go wrong on any project. And if you've got no project manager, things can go wrong. And when things go wrong, costs escalate. So you must have a project manager. Having had the experience that we've had with the project that we are doing, a few months ago, we actually thought what we have gone through so far, it requires us, because we know a lot of Zimbabweans in the diaspora who have struggled with trying to get something going on the ground in Zimbabwe. So what we have done is we have come up with this initiative called Rural Living Zimbabwe. And the website is myruralhome.co.zw. So what we've done is we've put up a comprehensive package to be able to manage, to help you realize your rural homestead dream all under one roof. So we start from planning stage, getting professional plans done, getting in the right contractors, having a project manager in place, and getting everything all the way to turnkey. Above all, what we've also done is you can pick any one of the different rural businesses that you can actually do from your homestead. To even put the infrastructure for you. We'll be able to give you a full and comprehensive business plan that you can use to get started. So that's all happening via Rural Living Zimbabwe, because we want to create these self-sustaining homesteads that you can enjoy, whether you're going to use it in retirement or whether you are just visiting Zimbabwe on your break from wherever you are located abroad. You can come home to somewhere which is comfortable, something that is thriving, something that you can really enjoy and feel proud of. And we believe that rural economy is the opportunity to actually lead overall economic development of the country. How we operate is that we have two options. So the first option is what we are calling brown projects. Brown projects are a project like ours, where you've got structures that you want to renovate or upgrade. So that's a brown project. But we've also got green projects. Those projects where you come to us and you say, look, I've got a piece of land and I want a rural homestead to be built from scratch. Or effectively, you've got some kind of a homestead, but you are going to need 50% or more of the buildings to be new builds, or you want to demolish some of the ones that are there and build something new. So those are the two options that we have on the platform that you can choose. Through the same platform, when you go there, you will be able to choose a model homestead. Once you've picked up your model homestead, we then simply know exactly how much it's going to cost. We come in, we work with your budget, we stretch it over a period that is comfortable with yourself. The exciting things that we are hoping you'll be able to pick up some kind of a mortgage that you can repay to the bank that will be able to be used to build your rural homestead. So I want to say thank you very much for watching this video. I will be sharing some of the other experiences at the homestead, but yeah, it has been a fantastic experience, and thank you very much for watching. Please, once again, if you haven't done so, subscribe, and then you get to be updated by way of notification when we post another video. We will be talking about coffee, we'll be talking about everything. I'll be sharing my rural coffee experience and everything else that is going on, and I'll be updating you on what we are doing with the farmland and how the community has come on board for some of the projects, and it has got us invested so much that we are now having meetings with the sabukus and everybody. But it's a fantastic experience, and I'm thoroughly enjoying it. See you again next time.